Yeah, this is really good from Falcons. Classic player relying heavily on 100 boosts. What's the best way to save boost, guys? One more time. Right, let's have a little look. Let's see how Falcons are looking now. Let's have a little look at some of these stats. Jesus! I don't think I've ever seen this before. TRK and Khaled got the exact same score average. 374.4. That's incredible. It's a shame the rest of the stats are all different, but that would be unreal if all the others... I would actually probably expect it to be a bug if the rest of the stats were the same. But yeah, 374.4 for both of them. Mosin, is that how you pronounce this with the 7? Mosin seems to get a lot of points here. Good shooting percentage. They're not getting, like, it's 9 shots from Falcons to 6. Well, 9.2 to 5.8. So there's a lot more shots coming in from Falcons, which makes a lot of sense. 2.2 goals to 1. So all makes a lot of sense. Zonic's not getting any goals, but getting lots of assists. So I'm not too fussed about this 0% shooting percentage. Am's not getting a huge amount of goal participation there. Mosin really being the MVP for the goals. Demos all look pretty normal. So boost. Ahmad. Look at average amount from Ahmad. Jeez. No small pads. Go on, son. Khaled on the small pad grind. Good to see. TRK low average amount. A lot of boost used. This is my big concern for Falcons, is their boost management is a bit of a yucky thing right now. This is an anomaly, right? I've not seen 57 average amount in a long time, so I'd be interested to see whether Ahmad's quite passive and not going, or what that actually means, especially with the low small pad count. Khaled, this is all pretty normal stats-wise. TRK, very low average amount, a lot of boost used, so he's probably boosting a bit more than he probably needs to. For AMS, Zazonix, Mosin, all quite low average amounts, especially Zazonix using that amount is quite scary. The low boost amount, I think, is probably a Middle Eastern thing of like the turn and go, so they stick in the play a bit longer, but they do need to make sure they keep their boost control pretty well then. You know what we're saying about looking out for anomalies? You can see here, look, Khaled, 85.5% behind the ball. This, I've not seen a number this high before. And Ahmad is so much in front of the ball. So this feels like Ahmad's upfield, keeping boost nice and high to go do stuff. Least back by a long way. This is a massive structural difference compared to most teams. Very imbalanced. Khaled, a lot of the time back. Ahmad, a lot of time forward. You can see it here. And then I assume TRK is just doing a bit of everything. Movement. Yeah, you can see they're quite slow as a team despite... I guess they were on quite a low boost a lot of the time. Yeah, nothing too crazy here. But I think the craziest thing for me is looking at boost amount and seeing that Ahmad is that high. This is an anomaly. Not seen a boost amount that high in a while. And then the positioning of most forward versus most back between Khaled and Ahmad. It's going to be really interesting to look at. Khaled is not that grounded, right? But then he's probably dodging around a lot because he's the lowest on high air, or one of the lowest on high air. But if you spend a lot of time low air, it can often mean you dodge around a lot. So KDOP, for example, has quite a high low air, but then like his high air is quite low because he spends a lot of time doing low jumps, dodges, that kind of thing. So let's get into some replays. Let's watch the 4-1. Right, I want to watch Ahmad for a bit. Big old 100. So the main thing we're looking for is the structure, right? Khaled really far back, Ahmad really far forward, right? That's the main structural difference. And it seems to be set up Ahmad is perhaps their game plan a little bit from what I'm seeing so far. Like let Ahmad go, set up Ahmad. Ahmad keeping his boost as high as possible so that he can just keep going. See him sort of lurking upfield. Ooh! Nice. So you can see right here. Full trust that Ahmad can go. And then that gives him that full confidence to go up for that ball. Ahmad keeping his boost as high as possible and being in a dangerous position is huge. What was Ahmad's average saves? I don't know, but he spent most of his time upfield, so probably not that many. So this is it, right? So as the first person, so when we think of Rocket League, we think of 1, 2, and 3 positioning, right? So right now, okay, so we'll see the point where he becomes first person. Khaled's rotating out now. Ahmad's now the first person, right? What's the role of the first person when your team has possession? Because it's different if your team has possession and your opponent has possession. What's the main role of the first person? Disruption? Yeah, I guess you could word that differently. Disruption is more like make it awkward, demo. No, these are specific roles, but like what's the overarching umbrella role of the first person? Take players out of the game. Yes, that's the one. So you can see here, Ahmad takes Zonics out of the game by hitting it over him. The moment he loses control, he waits for Ams to touch, comes back in, touches that middle, takes one player out the game, and then looks at trying to take more players out the game by going for that bump run. And you can see, like, for Mohsin, like, if we watch from Mohsin's point of view, put him out of position, right? So there, Ahmad has done something very different to what we saw in the first goal, which is what someone said in the chat is score as an option as the first person, right? So right here, Khaled goes for the 50-50, which is an option as the first person. And then Ahmad comes in as the second person, who is now the first person, and takes players out of the game by setting himself up for a solo play, right? And even if that didn't score, it would have led to play. So Khaled did the first person role well, and then Ahmad turned that into a goal. So this is what I really want to watch here for Ahmad, because this is when Ahmad's playing well, is when he's taking lots of players out the game, always being a threat, always being an option, always being available. And when he's upfield, he's one of the best players in the world, sitting upfield and turning it into threats, right? We all know the famous Ahmad touches, the little deflections, that kind of thing, right? So you see here. So right here, TRK gets the 50-50. So this is the role of the first person. So yeah, okay, let's switch up the question, right? What is the role of the first person when your opponent has possession, right? So right here, Mohsin has possession. So what's TRK's role right now? Disrupt the play? Yeah, basically. Retake possession, gain possession, exactly. So you're trying to stop the ball, 50-50 it, disrupt it, bump them, 50 them, fake them, force it, whatever it is. But ultimately, the end goal you're trying to do is gain possession. So the practical thing you're trying to do is disrupt them, make them lose the ball, etc. But the ultimate goal is to gain possession of the ball. Get Ahmad the ball is kind of the mindset here, right? So by going for this ball, TRK's got to be thinking, how can I get this ball to my teammates? What do I need to do to get this ball to my teammates? You see how he 50-50s there? He 50-50s lightly in a way where he knows vaguely where Ahmad is, right? And Ahmad plays off of it lovely. Trusting the decision. See what he's doing here, just disrupting. So when we talk about first person with possession, now look at what Ahmad's doing. First play, takes past one, bumps the other, recovers fast. Khaled messes up that touch, but, you know, like, still, the whole thing has started off their offensive process. Somehow that's a goal. And this is why do you think we're such nitpickers on teams that give away possession? Because they're doing your opponent's job for you, right? When a team gives away possession, they're essentially doing the hardest bit of being on the back foot, which is regaining possession, right? So right here, obviously it's fair to say TRK has somewhat forced Mohsin, right? So this is a force of sorts. It's a very simple force, but it's a force, right? Because Mohsin's scared about the potential of TRK going, so it forces him to do something. And at that point, he loses possession. And by losing possession here, this puts Falcons in a very strong position. I want to see what Zonics was doing. Low on boost. Gets boost starved. Get screwed, right? What do we say when we look at the stats? What do we look at when we looked at the stats? Anyone remember one of the players we looked at and we're like, oh, that looks a bit much. Too much boost usage, not a very good average amount. If we look at see now Zonics, let's watch his 100 boost amount. Classic player relying heavily on 100 boosts and hemorrhaging boost constantly whilst not accumulating boost with the decisions that he's making. Obviously, he did do it. This wasn't that bad, right? Like, he picked up some pads here. But, like, the best way to save boost... genuinely, this seems like a stupid question. What is the best way to save boost? You guys are on it today, so I want to get you involved. What is the best way for an individual to save boost? Not using it. Exactly. And that's a prime example of a situation where had they not used it, probably would have been in a better position as well. Because right here, could have rotated out, got some pads, got back in net, and so on and so on, right? So you see how like little decisions like that can lead to the demise of your team. And then that's where you get beaten to a boost. And again, what's the best way to save boost, guys? One more time, don't use it. You see the difference there? See the difference in the two decisions? TRK didn't use it, picked up 100, beat the player to the boost. When Zazonix jumped for the ball when he had no chance of getting it, obviously hindsight showed us he had no chance of getting it, he then got missed out on going to the boost, right? So one of the greatest skills in Rocket League is recognizing situations where you shouldn't use your boost, and that can often be the biggest difference maker for you as a player. Nice kickoff. Okay. TRK's boost management still seems to be a problem, right? It's so reliant on the hundreds. Convenient little 100 boost grab. So this is an interesting thing to talk about, right? So this is where we look at decisions like this. Now this is me over-analyzing a little bit here. You can see right here, TRK in hindsight had no chance of ever getting this ball, right? Absolutely no chance. But why is this fine to go for? Obviously, in hindsight, you could say, oh, probably best just to go for a demo and rotate out or whatever. But why is taking the risk of trying to hard read someone and pre-jump something or throw yourself at the play all right in this situation specifically? Because you're first man, exactly. TRK in this situation is first, right? So they're first man. They have a lot of boost, so they'll recover quickly. They know their teammates have a good amount of boost too. I don't know if they've communicated that, but they should be able to tell in this situation. Their teammates have got a lot of boost. You guys are saying because it forced them to throw possession away. The force happened before he jumped at the ball, right? If we watch from Mosin's point of view, you guys will see that the force happened before he jumped at the ball, right? His positioning and pressure already forced the touch. But by jumping at it, it's fine because recovery here is quick. And you see why it's fine? It's because having a player upfield when your two teammates have boost is good. If everyone's behind the ball, you become very predictable as a team. But by going for that, you create a structure right here where you can do stuff like this, right? And this is why it's fine if you've got a player dive in as the first person when your team is in a strong position. Because it actually opens up stuff in the future. You can go for demos, you can go for boost steals, you can go for upfield redirects, you can rotate back and get back if needed, and so on and so on. Because it sets up a good rhythm for your team. If you constantly don't go, you end up piling up in defense and start double committing with your teammates or double positioning with your teammates. Yeah, it's their last man. That's a fair point from you guys, right? So it puts a lot more pressure on their last person, right? But this is something that Ahmad does very well, right? Because Ahmad as the first person is very willing to go, and that means that he's upfield then in a good position. And you see how that constant threat and pressure puts a lot on them. Not in 2v2, right? I think in 2v2, that's where you start having to be a bit different with the way you do it. And that is very situational then. And actually, you're better off dispossessing your opponent and a little bit more focused on like getting a bump, rotating back via the pads, that kind of thing. But yeah, like in threes, the rhythm's much more important. So doing that is a big benefit. I think that's pretty much, like, that's all 4 goals from this game. So we'll go over to a different replay now. But hopefully that gave you guys some ideas as to what Falcons did so well in that game to create those goals. In particular, their first man aggression was amazing. Their first person aggression to get them in a strong position was amazing. Why is my game overlay not working? Okay, I was a little bit rough from Ahmad there, but right, you see what happens here, right? So this is not the best first person play because he could have done it, he could have jumped later and it would have been fine. But you see by the time he hits that 50-50, he's technically first, right? Technically in this situation, if we fly above, you can sort of see it's a safe-ish first person, right? Because TRK is on the left side, Khaled's basically back at this point. And so at that point, that's when he runs upfield to go and get their boost and try try and disrupt from the other side. And look, this is exactly it here, right? TRK done an amazing job taking up lots of time. This is the advantage with Falcons. Khaled, TRK on the ball, very good at taking up a lot of time. And you can see on that long rotation back, Ahmad able to disrupt, gets a boost steal, gets a bump. TRK is now doing a similar kind of thing. Touches it back to Ahmad. Ahmad looks to just rotate out now, get that bump. So you see how much value the Falcons players are providing when they're in front of the ball. Rotating out nice and fast. Ahmad taking up lots of time. Yeah, this is really good from Falcons. This is the best they've looked in a while. I know this isn't the same level of opponent maybe as KRN last week, but they look like a much better team. They have a game plan. They have a structure. They have an idea of what they're trying to do. And it's constantly threatening the team and making them uncomfortable, which is what Falcons do when they're playing their best, right? It's a constant threat of outplay. But then, like, you can see what they are doing is when they need to, they're not breaking a dumb rotation. They're not breaking the dumb rotation. Like, Ahmad's not always doing dumb stuff. Like, he is then rotating normally, right? This is more of like a normal, traditional back post rotation when he needs to. And, like, he's also not just going at everything, right? So we saw here, not overcommitting on the bump, gets the boost steal, comes in here. He's not just going straight away on everything. He's making smart decisions, choosing the right times to go, rotating out, leaving the ball for teammates. Like, there, could have gone, but chose not to go. Keeping his boost so high. Like, this boost management from Ahmad is genuinely some of the best boost management. When we saw that 57 average, I was concerned because I thought that might have been a sign of hesitancy, but it's actually a sign of good boost management, right? And to see how many times he goes to the ball, you could imagine him having a lot less boost and being a lot less able to do what he does. See there? See, look at that, right? These kinds of decisions are that of a player playing well, right? Look at this situation right here. So you can see right here, Ams and Ahmad can both go for this ball. What's the aim of this interaction? The aim of this interaction, Falcons to get possession back off the back of this and for players to able to get back into the play quickly with boost, right? That's always your aim, is to try and win out an interaction to gain possession, make the opponent commit, and then get back into a useful position with boost, right? So Ahmad, in this situation, recognized, I don't need to go to get possession of this ball. I can just get the boost, force the person to give the ball to me, rotate back into the play and get the ball again, right? So in this situation, that set of plays, right, let's watch Ams' point of view now, right? And watch Ams. So Ams is on 12 boost here. See what I mean? See these situations, if it was Ahmad, he'd have had the boost to go. Ahmad's boost management has been amazing. So you see there, used a load of boost to get that. That boost isn't there now. Goes for this, goes for that. Ams is now in the Falcons half with no boost, no good boost available as well, where Ahmad, on the other hand, has gained boost through these series of interactions and is now rotating back almost instantly and is back in the play with 100, right? So you see the difference in that resource management just from that interaction, the one-on-one interaction there. And that's when a team is playing well. Those little details are the key. Lovely stuff. I'm just genuinely impressed by the way Falcons are playing right here. It looks really good. Really good challenge there. You see how much they keep their boost high, right? Obviously, Khaled just there has lost a bit of boost, but you see, like, just the movement in general is just so much better than what it was against KRN. KRN, they looked rushed and panicked, whereas here they're moving, they're flowing, and I genuinely think this comes from practice and hours. You know, you can see how much cleaner they move around the pitch, like the wave dashing, the boost management, the decisions, the way they're changing their approaches, and so on and so on. Oh, look at that. Like, obviously they got dunked there. But still, you see how much... Yeah, this is Falcons back to their form. And it's actually a good thing that KRN are pushing them, because this will mean Falcons will be much better prepared when they go into international events. If they do, obviously KRN can still make it the next event. I genuinely believe that if Falcons play at this level, this is better than anything we've seen from KRN. Like, genuinely. Like, I'm not just saying that because KRN flopped this event. Like, we saw it when we analysed KRN versus Falcons last final. KRN weren't winning the game as much as Falcons were not playing at their usual level, and KRN were playing solid, right? Like, KRN were very counter-attack focused and defense focused, which when you're playing against a team playing at this level won't be enough, right? KRN needs to find another level if they want to beat this level of Falcons, which they can. They definitely have it in them. But yeah, this is pretty good here. Because we were watching the Falcons versus KRN game, and there was a lot of times where I was like, well, Falcons would have won this game if they'd done X, Y, or Z, which they normally do. And like this, watching this, they're doing a lot more of that stuff that we were describing, like the boost management, the clean touches, the individual disruptive ability of the players. I don't think Falcons fake challenge much at all against KRN, whereas in this you can see they're fake challenging all the time, they're forcing all the time. Yeah, it's much better. I do think Khaled looks a bit tame. Like obviously he's got a role to fill, and like he's doing that well. But I do think Khaled's looking a little bit tame in this series, right? Where it's like, I would expect him to be able to do that a bit better. Like there, for example, right? Like he doesn't look fully comfortable. You see like the aerial mechanics, right? They don't look fully comfortable. But yeah, TRK and Ahmad are moving very cleanly. Like, the thing about Khaled is, like, when he's playing a bit off, he's still solid, right? Like, he rotates well, he covers well, he's good in defense, that kind of thing. But he just lacks that offensive, scary factor. So it's really important to be that at your lowest, when you're playing weak, to still be solid and rotate out fast, cover your teammates, be boost efficient, so on. So he's got the right end of the spectrum there. But I do think he lacks a little bit of the courage to go for stuff that he's capable of. And consequently, he plays the safest possible way to do it, you know? But yeah.